Hey everyone, welcome to It's Okay to Be Okay podcast. I'm Melissa, one of your hosts with Jen and Chrystal, and today we have a very special guest who is our very own coach, David Key. He's actually the reason for this podcast even starting, really.
That's
So
amazing.
it is like we all found each other through your program. We found the principles through your program, and it's been an amazing journey. And why don't you introduce yourself, tell a bit about your story, and then we'll have a chat.
Yeah. Hey, I'm so grateful you've invited me, but I'm more than anything so proud of the three of you and what you've achieved in such a short period of time since you got together. That sort of power force of three beautiful souls going out and interviewing people like myself and other teachers of the understanding that you stumbled across a couple of years ago, I think some of you. Maybe shorter, but at least around a year, I think. Is that right? You've been in at least around a
2
year?
years, yeah. Yeah,
2
2
years.
years.
2
Three and a
years.
half.
3.5! Is it
Yeah.
really? It was only supposed to be a 6-month program. I have a tendency.
David, I came through the ultimate coach first.
You did the Ultimate Coach first? So that
Mhm.
was sort of version 1. And I think, before I get into the story, I think what it shows me is that with this understanding that we're gonna have a conversation about, maybe it'll come up when we talk, and is that it keeps giving. You keep seeing more. And here I am a decade later, having stumbled across this inside out understanding, the three principles. And I look back to the Ultimate Coach and go, oh man, that was so basic. And yet so many people's lives changed. And you can always see how to simplify it. That's it. And yeah, I've not lost any enthusiasm where I've trained. For those of you who don't know, I worked in the IT industry, and I got to the point in my life in my 30s where I'd been fascinated, was a seeker. So I was looking for, how do I have a better experience of life? How do I achieve more, be more, make more? Very much driven by ego, but it set me off on a journey to explore the mind, the unconscious mind, and hypnosis. I read a book when I was in my sort of late 20s called Grow Rich While You Sleep. And it was not about making money, but it was written by a guy called Ben Sweetland in the 80s. And he tells a beautiful story about how he fell asleep one day because he used to work in an oil field in Texas. And he would fall asleep to the sounds of the drills. They would work 24/7, and they would pound the ground and the tent would vibrate. And he used to fall asleep to that. And I'm gripped by this story. And he said one night he woke up with a startle at about 2 a.m. and he put his head out of the tent wondering what woke him up. And he could see the stars twinkling, and he realized that there'd been a power cut and all the pumps had stopped. So he was woken up by silence. Isn't that amazing? And I'm gripped. And then he starts talking about it wasn't about growing rich while you sleep. It was about finding that, almost like going on this journey to find the richness of life. And it comes from being aligned with your unconscious mind in harmony. That's what I remember. So that was my sort of first dip into the personal development world. Up until that point, I'd not really read many books. So I continued to work in the IT industry, and then I went to a stage show with a friend who said, should we go out for a drink and have some fun tonight? So we went to a place in north of England called Blackpool, and they do lots of shows, and they have comedians, and they had a stage hypnotist on, and we bought tickets, went in. There was probably a couple of 100 people at the show. It was like cabaret stars, lots of round tables throughout the venue and a stage. And the hypnotist came out, and we're all sitting at these round tables. And he said, I want you to put your hands together and squeeze your hands. And I want you to imagine that you can't release them. I just want you to imagine that. And the more you try and release them, the tighter they're going to get. They're tighter and tighter. And I was doing this, and Russell, my friend, was doing that. And at the end of that little, what we call in hypnosis now, I know, because I didn't then, was called a suggestibility test. And he was looking in the audience, who's the most suggestible person here or group of people? So I can bring them on stage and have some fun at the expense of them while the audience is laughing. So he said, right, and we're doing tighter and tighter and tighter. Now release your hands. Try and release your hands. And I just went like that. And Russell was there going, I can't release my hands. And I thought he was playing, but he wasn't. He was literally, he couldn't release his hands. So the hypnotist called him up on stage and a few other people, and they do a deselection process in a stage show, because ultimately you want to have the best hypnotic subjects, the ones that require the least amount of training. Everybody could go into trance. In fact, it's how we function, it's how we learn. Anyway, Russell did some really bizarre hypnotic phenomena, performed some things like amnesia. He didn't know he was hypnotized. He was having bizarre hallucinations. He thought he was eating a peach when it was an onion. He drank a pint, like 500 ml of vinegar that you put on your chips.
Gross.
I know, seriously, thinking it was lemonade. I mean, it was insane. And I'm sitting in the audience watching my friend, who's the shyest person on the planet. He's like a mouse, so shy, quiet, reserved, performing these weird things. But it got better because he got Russell to do a stage show. The hypnotist hypnotized my friend to believe he was a hypnotist. And Russell stood up, took the microphone and did this show confidently, elegantly. It's like he remembered everything about hypnosis. And I'm scratching my head thinking, he must know the guy or something along those lines. This has got to be a setup. The interval came, Russell came back and sat down at the table, and I said, mate, you just eaten an onion and drunk a pint of vinegar. Are you insane? He went, what? I said, on stage just now. He went, no, I never. I said, you did? He said, I didn't. So we got into this debate, and I'm thinking, he's not acting. Well, he was still in a trance. See, the hypnotist in the interval doesn't bring you out of hypnosis. He leaves you in it just by saying, open your eyes. He doesn't count you back 10, 9, 8. And when you get to 1, you're going to be wide awake. He just says, open your eyes, go back to your seat. So Russell's still in a trance. And then this music goes off because the hypnotist had created an anchor, said, when you hear this music, you're going to jump out of your seat and run to the first person you see and ask them on a date. That happened. The music went off. Russell jumped out of his seat. Excuse me, Dave, I've got to go. And he went up to this woman, just said, do you want to drink? And do you want to go on a date? He'd never been out with anyone. He'd never had a girlfriend and never had the courage to ask anybody if they just wanted to have a drink, go on a date, have a coffee. And it was at that moment that my curiosity was pricked and I wanted to learn about this stuff called hypnosis. And that's pretty much the catalyst for me to go on this seeker's journey, looking and training in so many different modalities, from coaching to hypnosis, and then training in so many different modalities and teaching students all over the world in NLP as well. But I still wasn't, in spite of knowing all those techniques, I still wasn't relaxed as a human being. I still lived in a feeling of stress. I didn't know it. Like everybody listening now might have shoes on their feet. They might not even know that they've got their shoes on their feet until I mentioned it. And then you can feel the feeling and the sensation of clothes against your skin, but you're not thinking about them, but they're there. Well, I had stress. It was like I was wearing a bodysuit of stress, but I was so familiar with it that I didn't even know I was wearing it. And then my marriage, my second marriage, my first marriage, I was married to a divorce lawyer. I often say, don't do that. Get expensive. She was very good. And I split up late 20s. And then in my 30s, I went through sort of a couple of crises. I had drug addiction, alcohol addiction. I was angry. And yet I was studying this discipline on how to be a happier human being. And yet I wasn't. Yeah, I was living in stress and I didn't know it. I had such a busy mind. I was very much in my left brain, intellectual mind all the time, thinking, never really present, never like in a relationship, in my marriage, just before we hit a crisis point. I'd be in the room and we'd be having a conversation, but I wasn't really there. And that created problems that I hadn't foreseen because if you're not present, person can't feel you, if you know what I mean, like feel your presence. And then I discovered that Anna was having an affair. It was my wife. And it sort of broke me finding that out. It like literally my whole world collapsed. My reality just collapsed. And I spoke to a client of mine and she said, "Oh, you want to read this book about the 3 principles? It's about relationships. It's actually by Dr. George Pransky. It's called The Relationship Handbook. Why don't you read that book?" So I read the book. And I never forget reading it because I was searching. I'm looking for the answer. How can I sort this mess out? And I literally had just put it to the side thinking, well, there's nothing new in here that I can see. I can't, these case studies, I don't understand how they're going to be helpful to me in any way whatsoever. There was some logic in there that I'd spotted. And then my client, Nicola, she phoned me up a week later and said, "What do you think of the book?" I was like, it's okay, but I'm not sure it's going to save my marriage. Because I was looking outside. I didn't realize I could have already saved it and we could save it. But we had to come out of the misunderstanding that we were living in. So then I bought a course. She said, "Oh, there's a course available." So I bought a course on the 3 principles and relationships. And Anna came in one evening and she said, "What are you watching?" I said, "I'm watching this guy talk about how the mind works and how these principles that create the human experience." She said, "Can I watch it with you?" I was like, "If you want." And she sat down and Dr. Pransky George, he started describing how the mind works using a metaphor of human beings being like this metaphorical script writer, like in the movies, you have a script writer. And he was describing that we create movies in our mind, but in order to create a movie in our mind, we need to have a topic, like a genre of movie, horror movie, tragedy, whatever it might be. And she's listening to him explain, and then he starts talking about how once we've created the film, we need to pass it to the editor. The editors will modify the movie to make it even more in keeping with the genre. So if it's a horror movie, you don't want a lot of comedy in there, unless it's one of those funny horror movies. But you know what I mean? It's like a horror movie. You pass it to the editors and they go, "That you've got to take all the humor out. That's too funny. People won't be scared if they watch that movie." So we are the editor. I didn't see this. He said, we're the editor. We create the script. We write a story, we do it unconsciously, we're not responsible in any way for those creations. They just happen out of our awareness, and then we edit the stories, we delete stuff, we distort it, we make it worse than it is. And then we pass the movie script that's been edited to the special effects team. And he was saying the special effects team is consciousness. It's like when you go to the movie, in order for them to convince you that it's scary with Nightmare on Elm Street, with the big knives, you need to have the sound and the sparks as he moves his hand across the wall, and the blood's got to look real, and so on and so forth. So special effects bring it alive. Well, what he was saying was consciousness will bring those scripts alive and make them feel real. And Anna heard this, and she had an epiphany. She had a realization right in front of my face. She looked at me, tears streamed down her face. She said, This would have happened no matter who I'd have been married to, because I've been running a movie in my mind since I was 12 years old, and I didn't know. We're gonna be just fine. I remember it thinking, "What the hell? What happened to her? Seriously?" And there was my ego going, I'm not sure we are gonna be fine. I haven't decided yet." All right? Now I make playfulness of it. I'm so grateful for what happened in that experience of life, because it brought me to this understanding, because my wife has changed. And what we say in this understanding, when you're working, say, with a group of people, like a group of people listening to this, if they were all in a room together, you only need one person to have a change in front of your eyes, and everybody else wants to know, what happened to them? I want some of that. So that's what happened to me. I'm looking at my wife going, what happened to her? How the hell has she changed? What did this guy say? So I rewind the video. I rewound his teaching, his lesson, looking for what he'd done. Had he hypnotized my wife to be happy all of a sudden? I couldn't find anything. And then it was 3 months later, I had my first, I would say, defining moment. Defining moment for me is just an out of the blue thought that you'd never had before. That sort of woke me up. And what it was is, I was at home making a cup of tea in my kitchen, and I had this feeling of rage wash over me, just angry. I had the thought, how could she do that? How come I can't believe she's made me so angry? And then I had this voice, because thoughts can come as sounds and pictures. Mine was a voice. David. It was like my nan was talking to me. David? She can't possibly be making you angry. She's not even in the house. That was the thought. I hadn't seen it at the time, but as I reflected, that was what came into my head at that moment. It was like a new thought. Oh my God, I'm angry, blaming my wife, and she's not even here. She's out shopping with the kids. So how the hell can she be making me angry? It's an impossibility. Oh my word, it's true. What that old guy was telling me on this course online that my wife heard is true. I was indulging myself in poor me thinking and feeling that. Didn't really matter what I was thinking about. The content was irrelevant. It was the fact that I was thinking was the problem. And then I hit the deck laughing so hard. It was hilarious. And I was like crying. I felt amazing. I changed. In that moment, I changed. I didn't know, because I didn't have any mentors or teachers of this understanding around me at the time, but I knew I'd changed. Something had shifted. And I was so excited that I reached out to who became my mentor, Dr. Pransky George. I reached out to his organization saying, that course of yours, I want to sell it around the world, because it's changed my life. It's changed my wife's life. And I want to learn more, because I had students saying, I've done all your trainings, Dave. What's next? And I was like, well, I've stumbled across this little understanding called the 3 principles. It's all about how human beings how they experience reality, and how they're these invisible forces that are creating our experience. And they were like, wow, that sounds really cool. So when's the training? I went, well, I don't know anything about it yet. Maybe we'll do it in 3 or 4 months. And that, because everybody in the room, when I told them what I discovered and my defining moment by the kettle, where I had this epiphany, that all human experience is created on the inside via the mechanism of thought, the principle of thought, and how we think about thoughts will effectively bring us feelings. And it's never to do with what's happening outside of you, but it just really looks that way. So everybody in the room, I shared this, and they went, right, we want to do the training. And I was going to run a 3-day retreat with some coaching, and I had no idea what I was going to. Someone said, what's the agenda? This was when I said I've summoned, and I went, I don't know. They went, oh, okay, don't worry, I'll sign up. which is really bizarre. It's like, you don't know what I'm going to be teaching. I know nothing about it. You hear me share a little story, and then everybody signed up to do this training with me. I explained that to George when I met him, and he went, "That's because when you shared your defining moment, your story, there was a feeling with it. And it was that feeling that they bought into, not the words of what you said." And I've noticed that's really what happens when we're coaching people. It's the feeling that we're in seems to do all the heavy lifting. It's like it does the cleansing. It helps heal people from their challenges. So that's pretty much my story on the journey. Before I got there, I'd studied all those disciplines, had thousands of students around the world, and then I come to the three principles and go, "Oh my God, it's pointing people in a totally different direction. What am I going to do?" And it took me 5 years to navigate my way through that. And then I met John, who helped me. And you met John on the training on Saturday. And now, since the pandemic, I think over 155,000 students, I think, involved with the principles. Probably 20,000 people are training in this understanding in my portals. And it's amazing. Life just seems to keep getting better for my clients um, with something that's so simple. Understanding where your feelings come from. Is that it? Is it
Right.
that simple? Mind intellect couldn't get its head round it.
No, neither could mine at first.
No,
Mine either.
you couldn't. Yeah, it's just because we're told thing like transcending psychological traumas and challenges is complicated. But I'm seeing three beautiful souls in front of me included, my wife included, my children, my hundreds and thousands of clients who report back saying, "Oh, I can see now. All my anger is coming from how I'm using my thinking. My trauma was just me regurgitating and going over past memories over and over and over and over and over again, or stuck on some sort of virtual loop, like being stuck in the matrix." And then they wake up and go, "Oh, it's actually really beautiful out in the world."
And I think that's what I love about the three principles as well. Is like when you do wake up, even if it's just like what you said, like a popcorn moment, you can't unsee it, and there's no going back. Like
No.
even when I've been in my worst parts, like a couple of weeks ago, I was like really suffering with overwhelm and stuff like. Even when I was down in that kind of tornado that I say about, I still knew the truth, so I couldn't go back.
Mm.
I know this will pass.
Yeah, there's something funny when you wake up to the understanding and you see, oh, 100% of my reality is created by how I use the principle of thought, whether I use it to my advantage or against myself. When you forget, when you have a drop in consciousness, just like a low mood, you just get temporarily forget, you get wrapped up, you get irritated, annoyed, or whatever it might be. But you're right, there's something there like that Jiminy Cricket, in Disney's Pinocchio. It's like he's there going, You'll be all right in a minute, Dave. You'll pop out of this." He wasn't there before. So you get stuck in it and you think it's permanent. It's like who I am. And then you wake up and you have a drop in consciousness, you have a bad day, but you get over it. It's like we get over ourselves really quickly.
I was just saying the other night, I had a drop in consciousness and I went literally crazy. I mean, I told you guys about it, didn't I? I think I was selling my bikini, one of my bikinis, and all the gems coming off, and I just freaked out, absolutely freaked out, threw it on the floor, and then I went upstairs, sat on the bed, and just like, right, just calm down. And I could hear my partner boxing it up for me, so I was like, oh, he's
Oh,
for me. And then he said, "Right, it's ready to post now." So I went to post it, and then when I come back, I I took the long way round because the car calms me. Well, my thinking about the car calms me.
mm, mm.
And I come back, and I sat next to him. I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry I reacted like that." He's like, "It's okay, I understand." So I can feel it. I know that I could just let it go right now, but I'm holding on to it. He said, "Let it go." I was like, and then just like that, I just made the conscious choice of, okay, I'm gonna let go of it, and it was gone.
Mm. That's so simple. But when you don't know, you don't know.
Mm.
But the irony is everybody knows. They just forgot, which is what I love about hypnosis, because hypnosis is about putting people into a Milton Erickson, when he was asked, for those who don't know, Milton Erickson was described as one of the greatest hypnotists and hypnotherapists to ever live. Depending on your style of hypnosis, there are three main styles, and Ericksonian hypnosis was indirect authoritarian. So you were going into a trance, you just didn't know it, right? Whereas early days hypnosis, very direct authoritarian, close your eyes and follow my instructions. And then there's permissive, which is Dave Ellman. But Milton Erickson was interviewed, and he said, what I do is I put people to sleep because they come to me in a trance, and I take them out of that trance and I put them in a different one that feels different, feels better. It's like I take them from a nightmare and put them in a happy dream. Well, I see with the principles, that's what's happening. Clients are coming to us hypnotized by their stories. They're at their personal showing of their horror movie, and they can't get out of it. So they come to see us, and we're just educating clients as to the nature of where that and how that's created. And somehow that understanding penetrates, goes beyond their intellect, and then sort of wakes them up, like that voice in my head, David, your wife isn't even here. It's like, whoa, you said that. I just woke up. Oh my God, it's true. The outside world doesn't create my experience. So I woke up. And I think that's what we're doing. Like in hypnosis, I was putting people to sleep, and techniques and suggestions and trying to work with the unconscious, which is invisible. You can't see it. It's a metaphor. Well, mind is. So why aren't they the same thing? I see them as the same. The unconscious, the subconscious, the non-conscious, divine mind. It's this invisible force that effectively is bringing us our experience. So when clients come to us hypnotized, we're not putting them to sleep. We're waking them up through conversation and pointing out something that they already know, which is so cool. It's such an easy job when you know.
Well, and it's so easy for us to forget what we know when we drop in consciousness. When we
Yeah.
have a bad day, it's easy to think, oh, I've lost it. I'm going backwards. I'm going back to the old me. I'm going to use my son as an example. He
Yeah.
had a rough day the other day, got into it with another kid, and he was pushed into a fence, and then he yelled, used some cuss words, and swung his bag and broke his pencil box. And when he got home, he was so upset because I'm going back to the old me. That's what he told me.
Ah, bless.
And it's like, so I got to go, well, did you hurt anybody? He goes, no. Did you destroy a classroom? No. Did you kick any holes in the walls? No. Were you suspended? No. Did you get detention? No. So you lost your shit for a minute, you broke your pencil box, and you had had enough. You lost your shit. We all lose our shit. Pretty sure you're the one who told me that, David.
Yeah, that reminded me of a story. I'm like, I'm hearing that. Yeah.
And
I'm hearing a story about another client as you're describing it that I would have shared in that group. So absolutely. But we don't see it, do we?
no,
We think we've gone backwards, and we haven't. I sometimes forget that I'm having a bad day. Like just because you have an understanding doesn't mean you're immune from the human experience, right? Shit happens, life happens, the external world, circumstances that you can't foresee happen. And so on a bad day, I'll sometimes forget how far I've come, and I'll go, oh, that was at that moment I was feeling really down or a bit annoyed or angry, which can happen. And then I think back, I'll go, but I feel amazing. I feel really happy. So I don't care that that happened. You become a bit more humble and you apologize more quickly if you've said something that you didn't mean to say in a moment of forgetfulness, So you forgive yourself more easily. You get over yourself more easily. And then I look back and go, oh my word, my happy days in the past don't come anywhere near my unhappy days now. It's like if we have this range, you say, you had a drop in consciousness. So this is a good mood up here at this level, this is a low mood, and you just had a low mood. But you never go below worse than it used to be in the past. And then this just keeps growing. You keep seeing more, your levels of understanding grow, and you'll look back in years and go, man, how would life be if I hadn't come across this understanding? I'm so grateful for it. And to be able to share it with you, and everybody else in the community, it's amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. I love that. And what I see, and I don't know, David, and Melissa and Jen, and Dickens said it, and I don't know, and it was on just a learning seminar, but he was talking about the dips,
Yes.
in consciousness, and you're just going into a low mood. And what he said hit me is, it's when you learn, well, it's not a learned thing. It's when you come to the point where when you're in a low mood, you bring your wisdom with you into that low mood. That's a game changer for me, because I am well aware of my low moods. I am well aware of, I'm letting it continue. I'm even to the point where I am well aware that if I wanted to just let go of the low mood, I could do it right there in that instant. There's
Isn't that
nothing
amazing?
stopping me but myself.
I
And so
know.
sometimes when I get a little low mood and I want to stay there for a minute, and let's say my husband's around or somebody, I'm like, no, you know what? I'm a human being and I'm pissed off right now. And I'm going to be pissed off until I decide I don't want to be pissed off
Exactly.
anymore.
Isn't that beautiful that you've got that
Really is.
wisdom to see that you're there
Yeah.
and you have the choice to let
Mhm.
go of the hot coal or hold on to it? Yeah. I love that you see that. And I can see that has happened in situations myself. I think what I love when you take that wisdom with you as well is that you're going for a walk around the block. Melissa takes the long way home, for example, and in that time you go, yeah, why am I holding on to it? I'm not getting anything from it now. And you just let go, and then you walk in. Hi, is everybody okay? Well, Dad's back. Give him something to eat. He's angry. So mood could be lack of sleep, poor nutrition. That can have an impact in your state of mind. Or rather your mood, and your state of mind comes from your mood, clearly. But yeah, having the wisdom as you go into a low mood. So having it come with you. Isn't that beautiful that Dickens sees that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm so thankful he shared it too, because
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. Like, I've always been trying to explain that. Like, I know I have the choice to just knock it off anytime I want to.
Yeah.
And it's like when he said that, it hit me, and I was like, that's exactly it. And
But
it was
I was gonna say that what popped into my mind was the one thing that I think has really been helpful is knowing the outside world doesn't create your experience.
yes.
Because when you know that that's 100% true, not sometimes the outside world creates my experience, but 100% it's either inside or outside. When I saw, because I looked everywhere, I was challenged by my mentor. Go and find me an example in life where the outside world creates your experience of it. And I couldn't find any. So when you know, it's almost like that's a shortcut to bouncing back, because it's like, well, it's me, isn't it? So it's like, it's on me. I can't blame anybody else. Well, you can, but it would be wrong. you'd be wrong.
So maybe I can ask this question. So this is from
Sure.
one of our followers, quite a fan now. So her question that she put on one of our other videos, I thought would be a good one to answer. If we are born with peace, joy, and love, how can this be when you have a mother who is pregnant with you and during that pregnancy spends the entire 9 months of you in the womb and she is raging non-stop at my older sister she hated? That fetus cannot possibly be born feeling peace, joy, and love. This is just my opinion. I grew up never knowing what love felt like. I had a son, and I can honestly say I never felt love. I didn't and don't hate him. I just have never experienced actual love as a child in order to understand it.
So what do I say to that? Well, I don't know the person, so I want to keep it in the human dimension. Human beings are made of love because love is energy. It's the principle of divine mind. So looking outside of yourself for that is looking in the wrong place. It's who you are. So I used to think that when I was younger. I went to 9 schools, asked to leave 5. My parents were fighting all the time. My mother struggled with life, so she didn't have the time and energy to give me the attention I craved. Because I think as we sort of come out of that hypnagogic state, in our first sort of 4 or 5 years, where we're just a sponge learning everything, because we come in to the world uncontaminated. We are pure bundle of joy and energy. Now, then I think we learn to look outside of ourselves for what we need. It's like, I need my nappy changing, my diaper changing, so we scream until someone does it. I need feeding because I'm hungry. We scream until we get fed. I need some attention, and we scream until we get a cuddle. So I think we erroneously, when we sort of come into the world, at some point on our journey, we forget that all the beautiful feelings that we can experience are created inside, and we don't need the outside world to create our feelings. So I would say this client, or human beings that say what this client asked, this fan asked, was just a misunderstanding, an innocent misunderstanding. And you can continue to look outside, but you'll never find what you're looking for. And that would be such a shame, to go through the whole of life looking for love when it was there right in front of your face when you're looking in the mirror. But it's understandable. Like, what is love? How do you know? For me, it's just a beautiful feeling that I can have that feeling walking my dog. I don't need it from another human being, but I spent most of my formative years on a quest to find love in terms of my relationships. I got married so quickly. I jumped into relationships from the age of 17. Move in with me. I mean, it was like crazy because I felt that I wasn't loved. So I was looking outside for it. And then I came to the principles and I thought, oh, it was there all along. Don't need someone to tell me or hug me, because I'm made of it. And so are you, and so are you, and so are you. That's it. That's my answer. In terms of in the womb stuff, I could go there, but I'm not sure it would be of any value. There's evidence to suggest that every single cell in your body is listening to your internal dialogue. So be nice to yourself. Can other people's words damage you in some way? I don't believe it's possible, because that would presupposes that your mental health can be broken. And it can't be. Everybody's sitting in the middle of perfect mental health. They just don't know it. Was something that I heard Sydney Banks say. They just don't know it. So Sid would say, people go all over the world looking for peace of mind. They're looking for the guru, someone to give them some advice. And I'm not here to give advice, but I would say I'll bet you $100 that that loving feeling is still inside you. You just haven't been able to find it because there's way, way too much thinking about love in that question. You'll never think your way to love. It's not possible. Because love is, for me, the feeling of love comes with the absence of thinking. It's like it fills me up right now. It's like I don't even know what I'm saying. I hope it makes sense. But that feeling comes when, now in the past, you'd ask that question and my little intellect brain go, well, what would be a really good answer to give? And I'm like, I have no idea what I said, but it felt right.
Yeah. And David, God rest her soul, but one of the most beautiful people that I had the pleasure of being on a call with, who just, when she spoke, was just pure love. Okay. Which showed that the love comes from within us. It's not anywhere else. Beverly,
Beverly.
David, I would be on the calls in your program listening to Beverly with tears coming down my face because the beautiful love coming out of this woman was just amazing. I'm serious. If I'm on any of the videos, you will see me crying.
She's
And it
amazing.
was from just the beautiful love. And that just points to that love was coming from Beverly
Mm.
inside her. And she was just sharing her beautiful feeling
She
with the
touched.
rest of us.
She touched
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah, she was a beautiful soul. I was so fortunate to have her take me under her wing for a year and a half. I wasn't seeking anymore as well, which was interesting. But I spent time with Dick in living, well, not living, but going to spend time in his home. And then at the same time working with Beverly, I mean, what two beautiful souls. I wish she was still alive that we could be having a conversation with her, but she's alive in my heart, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful that we got that time with her and that's all recorded. I'm so grateful I was lucky that I had calls with her every week and she opened me up too. She would do a little bit of what you were talking about earlier, Melissa, is like she would be asking you to give your younger you a big hug. She was like that.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll never forget her.
I,
I think about her a lot because she had so much wisdom to share. It touched me. And things keep unfolding now. You might find this with your clients or people listening to the podcast. They go away and it's like the seed was planted. And then at some point in time, it
yeah,
just comes the popcorn muff.
Yeah.
The insight, the realization. And then everything's different after that moment in time. I mean, Melissa, look at your life. You, Chrystal, Jen. I mean, it's your background, Jen. I mean, what you went through and the stories. But I remember the first calls with you and how you are now. If I could find those recordings, that I know they're in there somewhere, but we've got so many now, haven't we? Hundreds. But I would love to do the before and after for you to see that because it's profound.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I first started, I was medicated.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. I was
Wow.
medicated and I had been out of prison for a couple of years. And believe it or not, I had slowed down considerably
Really?
from before I went to prison.
Wow.
And I called total bullshit on all the stuff you were selling, David.
Did you really?
Oh, I did. I did. As soon as you said something about somebody getting off their meds and being okay, I was like, well, it's not real bipolar then, because, I knew
All right.
everything I did when I got off my meds. Like, I went crazy, it got really loud, then meth would get involved, I'd have
Mm.
nothing, and it was always just this.
Wow.
And but I heard that we all have we're sitting in the middle of mental health. We just don't know
Mm,
it. I
mm,
knew that to be true, so I kept listening. But I never considered going off my meds for that first year. From 2024, all of
right.
that, I listened and I tested out what you told me. I started seeing the separation in my head, all the different versions that I had created it. And every time I'd call one for being nothing but thought, it would like melt away and just go into the rest of the versions until there wasn't anywhere else for it to go, you know? And then, yeah, January 1st, I got off my meds.
Wow.
And
This year?
yes, this year, I
And you
had,
joined in 2024?
yes, joined the very last of 2023, but tried to do the NLP before I started. So I didn't
Right.
start the innate well-being until 2024, very
Amazing.
beginning. So about a year in it, and then I got off my meds.
Wow. What a testimonial. Seriously. First, because there'll be people that listen to this or will hear me say something like that who will have the same reaction as Chrystal. You put your hand up there too as well. So there was that happen to you? What about you, Melissa?
Yeah. Well,
All
I
right.
actually, I heard, it's weird because I heard something. I knew I heard something. I didn't know what. And then I went back to doing all the other modalities that I've, millions of modalities that I've tried and
That's right.
done. And then
Yeah.
I gradually found myself being guided back to the three principles. But
Your wisdom.
it took a year in between when I first
Did it
heard.
really? Was it a year? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Because I started in 2023 as well, because I was looking at my my paperwork and I was like, oh, wow. But yeah,
So that's amazing. So all the three of you, your intellect got engaged when I started describing something that the intellect maybe can't work out. Well, you're sitting in the middle of perfect mental health, but hang on a minute, I've got a bipolar prescription here, and I'm on antipsychotics, and I'm whatever it is that you're doing to have a better experience of life, medication-wise.
And I
And
still
then,
struggled almost every day while medicated. I still struggled.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
struggle most days
That's
now.
amazing. You know, I often ask clients, they come to me and they're depressed, and I'd ask them, "Are you on antidepressants?" I'm like, "Have you considered that they might not be working?" "Oh, no, but the double bind is a double bind in hypnosis is you're caught between a rock and a hard place, is because the suggestion gets put in your mind that if you come off them, you might feel worse, which you had done, Jen, and that was your experience. So that creates that, well, you know, there's the evidence.
Yep.
But no one told you, well, when you came off them, it's just that your mind got really, really busy.
Yeah, and really loud. And
Yeah.
it was fragmented and separated because I had done that. I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was the reason for the different versions I had.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
diagnosed it was auditory hallucinations.
Oh, right.
So,
Thoughts.
but the different versions, you know,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
always, yeah, I called
Fascinating.
total BS, and now I'm off all meds. I don't struggle like I used to. And on my days I do struggle, I don't unpack the content. I look in the direction of where the struggle is coming from, which is right here.
Mm, that's beautiful. Every time. That's beautiful.
And you know what's amazing, David? Is I actually shifted, like had my aha and my big shift in the Ultimate Coach program, where
Mm.
I too was calling BS and a little mad because I had just finished the NLP and you were like, oh, NLP and hypnosis, great tools, forget about it. Here's the new thing. And I
Yeah,
was
sorry
like,
about that.
what? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? But the beautiful thing is, in the innate well-being program, I was there from day one, and I had already shifted 10 months prior. And I know you guys all know this now, but what was so beautiful is I remember Jen when she first joined the innate well-being.
Yes.
And then when Jen came back and you spoke to her on a call in the innate well-being program, I was floored. I was like, oh my, even though I had already shifted myself and I knew the possibilities, I was like listening to her and looking at her name. And I'm like, this can't be the same lady. There's no way this is the same person. And then afterwards, I reached out to Jen and I was like, I'd love to have a chat with you because I remember you before you. And it
I knew
was,
instantly. The minute she got on, I think I even said it on the call. It's like, you've changed.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I had a before and after picture of you in my head. And I was so blown away. I'm so happy, but it's just reinforces what we're doing is the right thing. It's so simple. We're just sharing where your experience coming from. People wake up, they catch on, they have insights, whether it's now on this call or in 6 months' time, they see, oh, wow, everything I feel is coming from how I'm using my thinking. No one's responsible for that apart from me. And I've been given a gift. It's called free will. And I can choose to do this to myself and know it, like you said, and stay in it. Or I can choose to walk around the block and let it go. Because it's all from me. No one else is responsible for that. Even though it really looks like your partner pissed you off. And maybe they did in the moment. In other words, we reacted to the way they reacted to us and we got wound up, and we can honestly, innocently point, but it will always be on us. Always, 100%, every time.
I think that's what made me go off for a year. Responsibility.
Yeah, that scares a lot of clients. They hear it and they're like, well, are you saying that it's my fault that I'm feeling this way? And I'm like, well, no, not really. Maybe I need to articulate it more elegantly and go, well, it's just what human beings do. And you're not responsible in the context. You had no conscious awareness of what you were doing. So therefore, by definition, you're not responsible. You're innocent. As Sid would always say, you're innocent. I'm talking about you're innocently doing this to yourself. And it's not your fault. But when you know, you'll even forget. And then it won't be your fault then either. But you'll remember, and then you'll go, yeah, it was me. I'm sorry. We find forgiveness more quickly. We get over ourselves more quickly. We are more understanding of our partners and children because we know what's going on for them, even if they don't. But it does seem to have, like through the ether, some sort of mystical power to be able to heal the family systems as well. It's amazing. I remember when I first heard the phrase, all boats rise with the tide. And I was like, yeah, do they? Do they though? Really? I look at my family and go, yeah, I think they do. Even the dog's improved. He's so much more chill than he used to be. So I don't know how we're doing, ladies, but I've really enjoyed our conversation. I don't know if it's been valuable to you.
It's been amazing.
Yes, thank you for coming. This has been great,
Oh,
David.
well, thank you for being an example of what's possible for people who join my programs or any other principles type program, where when you see where your experience is coming from and you have a secret to be shared, so to speak, and then you take action and go out and do it, you're changing people's lives. People will watch the videos and their lives will change and you might not even know it.
Well, actually, I just had a friend call me today, and she said, I've been watching, basically, she said, like, I've been watching you and what you've been doing, and you've inspired me. And she's quit her job that she hated, and
Wow.
she's now doing her own business, and like knowing that just because she's watched what I was doing, it's given her the courage to do it herself.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, inspiration, we inspire people through how we show up in the world. So, Jen, with people who knew you before and then how you're showing up now, that has inspired people. And they're like, what the hell? Can I have your secret? Then you give it away and share it with someone else. And then eventually what Sid foresaw, well, I don't know if he did that because I've only heard it through people that I've been fortunate enough to be mentored by. But as I remember the conversation, Sid saying that all wars would stop within 18 months when the world wakes up to the truth as to where they're experienced and how it's created. Can you see this, Jen, in the prison system? If every prisoner knew that their feelings of rage and all the other things were created inside their minds and had nothing to do with what's going on out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm still working on trying to get this in the I've been
Into the
talking
prison
with the
system.
Inside Alliance up in Oregon and Anna Debenham and Beto Contreras and amazing, beautiful souls. And, they've been going in the prison system for years. And now me and Beto were kind of talking about and looking at how to get it in the foster care system.
Wow.
I mean,
What
in
another-
Oregon, they're getting it in the high schools right now. And how cool is that? That's where it needs to be. We need to start young.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
if we could get 25% of the population to see even this much, it would tip scales so much that everybody would know the difference.
Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book, I think, called Tipping Point. And that's what we'd need with the understanding. If you look at when I came to the understanding, it had been around for like 38 years or something to the point when I joined. I mean, the understanding's been around for thousands of years, but let's talk about Sid's realization, right? And when I came, I went to a conference and there was a couple of hundred people at the conference. And then pre-pandemic, there were over 1,000 people at the conference interested in this understanding. Then the conference overseas and in California, and it just grew. Unfortunately, the first generation teachers started retiring, and then we had the pandemic and people stopped going to conferences. But we still got so much leverage with the groups that we are working with, the people that eventually I think we'll hit that tipping point. And when people see that their anger towards another person was created in their mind, not by the other person, we might start being a little bit nicer to each other.
Yeah.
Not getting offended by social media posts or whatever it is. And oh my word, the world seems to have gone crazy. I'm laughing because I just like, this seems to be getting worse. But we have so much that we can share to help and be in service that I love what you're doing. You just inspire me. So thank you so much because, it makes my job worthwhile doing it. Because if everybody kept it to themselves and didn't put themselves out there, in spite of how scary it can feel sometimes to go on a podcast, right?
Yep.
In spite of that, you just show up and do it and share what you know. People like authenticity, and that's what you three are. Amazing. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this has been, go on, Jen.
No, go ahead. I was just saying thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And David, if anyone wants to get hold of you, what's your details?
Oh dear. Best way, you go to davidkey.com and then click on contact us, and there's a form and you can fill in and put your email address, and it'll go to a help desk and we'll respond, or I'll reach out to you. And that would be one way.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On for the next one.
1,